Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Airline Economics Weekly News Roundup. Before we dive into the latest aviation news, we want to start by bringing your attention to the humanitarian disaster that is affecting millions of lives around the world. The powerful earthquakes that struck Turkey and Syria have left more than 12,000 people dead and millions in need. Disaster response non-profit Airlink is coordinating flights and other transportation and logistics needs for responders, starting with search and rescue teams. Humanitarian aid is also being coordinated for delivery. Donations to Airlink help save their NGO partners' organisations tens of thousands of dollars in transport costs that they can put back into programmes and procurement. That means more aid going to where it is needed most. Steve Smith, President and CEO of Airlink, said the tragic level of destruction is becoming clearer, and this response will require a huge effort delivered over the short, medium and long term. Airlink will be there throughout, providing aid and hope to millions, thanks to the generosity of their donors. You can donate to Airlink by following the link in the description, and your donation today will help Airlink remove the high costs of transportation that average 73% of the cost of any disaster response programme. Now let's turn our attention to the latest developments in the global aviation industry. This week we saw the International Air Transport Association release encouraging data indicating global recovery following the pandemic. Airbus announced delivery of 20 aircraft, and Spirit Chief Executive Ted Christie shared his expectations on the JetBlue merger ruling. These stories and more are shaping the future of aviation, and it's important to stay informed. So join us as we bring you these and more of this week's news and insights and keep you up to date with the trends shaping the future of the aviation industry. This week, the International Air Transport Association released full data that shows the air travel industry is continuing to recover from the global pandemic. In 2022, global passenger traffic increased by more than 64%, with capacity up by almost 40% compared to 2021 levels. Global traffic is now at 68.5% of 2019 levels, with capacity recovering to 71.9% of 2019 levels. Willie Walsh, IATA's Director General, said that the industry left 2022 in far stronger shape than it entered, as most governments lifted COVID-19 travel restrictions during the year and people took advantage of the restoration of their freedom to travel. He added that the momentum is expected to continue into the new year despite new governments' overreactions to China's reopening. Full-year air cargo market data from 2022 from the association shows that global air freight demand has cooled from the high of 2021 levels but nears pre-pandemic performance. Global full-year demand in 2022 fell 8% compared to 2021, and compared to 2019 it was down 1.6%. Capacity increased by 3% above 2021 but was 8.2% down on pre-COVID levels. Monthly cargo demand has steadily declined from March 2022 to a low point in December, where demand was down 15.3% on 2021 levels. Likewise, global capacity has also continued to contract. IATA stated that 2022 ended with mixed signals for the cargo market. New export orders overall have remained the same since October, but have contracted in all major economies, save for Germany, the US and Japan, where they are growing. There has been a small decline in global goods trade, with inflation reaching nearly 7% for G7 countries. Willie Walsh said that the continuing measures by key governments to fight inflation by cooling economies are expected to result in further decline in cargo volumes in 2023, down 5.6% to 2019. But he adds that these measures will take time to bite into cargo rates, and that average yields and total revenue for air cargo in 2023 should remain well above what they were pre-pandemic. He added that this should provide some respite in what is likely to be a challenging trading environment in the year ahead. In manufacturer news, Airbus delivers 20 aircraft and books 37 orders in January. French airframe manufacturer Airbus delivered 20 aircraft to 15 customers in January 2023. Recipients included American Airlines, Air Lease Corporation, Korean Air, Air Canada, Tibet Airlines, Spirit Airlines and Lufthansa. All but 2 of the deliveries were narrow-body aircraft. The January update came after it delivered 661 commercial aircraft to 84 customers and received 1,078 gross new orders in 2022. The 37 orders versus 20 deliveries for the month added slightly to the backlog of 7,239 aircraft Airbus announced in late 2022. The manufacturer has since said it would hire 7,000 staff in 2023 as it attempts to boost production. Comair files lawsuit against Boeing. Comair has filed a lawsuit in federal court against Boeing for fraud and breach of contract concerning the purchase of 8 737 MAX aircraft. The airline is seeking damages in excess of $83 million which it suffered as a result of Boeing's wrongful conduct. Comair entered into a purchase agreement with Boeing for the sale of 8 737 MAX aircraft for a total aircraft base price of more than $98 million in September 2013. Delivery of Comair's first 737 MAX would take place in February 2019. Comair said that it had paid Boeing over $45 million in advance payments on 7 737 MAX aircraft and full payment on the 1 737 MAX aircraft it received. The lawsuit alleges that Boeing has refused to return the advance deposits on the 7 aircraft it never delivered to Comair. Comair says that it suffered additional damages as a result of the grounding of its 737 MAX for a total loss of more than $83 million. In its lawsuit, Comair claims that Boeing retorted to shortcuts, misrepresentations and concealed information to bring the 737 MAX to market quickly. The airline also added that the engine of the 737 MAX was large and could not fit under the 737's low wings to obtain adequate ground clearance. Boeing moved the engines up and forward, causing the aircraft's nose to abnormally pitch up. The airline further alleges that Boeing tried to resolve the pitch problem with Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, which automatically applied downward stabilizer trim, and the MCAS did not work safely. Going ahead, the airline has accused Boeing of concealing this information from customers and the FAA in a rush to maximise profits. Further alleging that Boeing avoided any requirement that pilots be trained on MCAS. Thereafter, following the 2 fatal crashes of Lion Air and Ethiopian Air, the aircraft was grounded worldwide. Continuing with stories of litigation from this week, Spirit chief expects US government ruling soon on the JetBlue merger. The US Department of Justice is expected to rule on the proposed JetBlue-Spirit Airlines merger over the next month, according to Spirit Chief Executive and President Ted Christie, who during a February the 7th earnings update said, "We announced in December 2022 that Spirit and JetBlue had certified substantial compliance with the DOJ's second request and are now waiting to see whether the DOJ filed suit to block the deal or allows us to proceed. We anticipate hearing from the DOJ in the next 30 days or so, and that's really all we have to say on that topic for now." The merger, which was formally proposed in July 2022, has been valued at $3.8 million and has touted as the creation of a budget carrier alternative to the so-called Big Four airlines that together make up around 80% of the US market. JetBlue's participation in the Northeast Alliance with American Airlines has come under separate regulatory scrutiny, with a decision said to be pending and the result of which could in turn sway whether the Spirit merger gets the official go-ahead. Aviation industry analysts at Cowen said that they expect the DOJ to block the merger, which faces a separate antitrust suit in a California court filed by passengers and travel agents that claim the tie-up would diminish competition in the low-cost sector. Spirit Airlines posted fourth quarter 2022 revenue of almost $1.4 billion, taking it to $5.06 billion revenue for the year, a 56% increase on 2022. The Q4 2022 figure was primarily due to increased flight volume and stronger operating yields, according to Spirit, and was up 43.5% on the fourth quarter of 2019. Spirit shares climbed by 7% after the results, which were above what the carrier had expected and were announced late on February the 6th. Moving on to finance now, as American prices $750 million notes offering. American Airlines has priced a private offering of $750 million senior secured notes due 2028 at 7.25%. The notes will be secured with slots, gates, and routes collateral on non-stop scheduled American services between routes to South America and New Zealand on a first-line basis, which also secure the credit facilities under the 2013 credit agreement. American expects to use the proceeds from the offering of the notes to repay a portion of the term loans outstanding under a 2015 term loan. Any term loans not repaid from the net proceeds of the offering will amend to extend the maturity date to February 2028. Garuda Indonesia explores private placement. Garuda Indonesia is expected to raise between $300 and $400 million through the sale of convertible notes via a private placement. Local media reports suggest the placement could take place in the next few months once the company's share price stabilises. The Indonesian government has already provided an equity injection and assisted with its recent rights issue. Sources state that several potential investors have expressed interest in the private placement, including several Middle Eastern airlines, according to a minister, but with little details. An update is expected next month on progress. And in other news, Russia is to ramp up production of the Tupolev Tu-214 to meet demand. The Russian civil aviation sector has been struggling with spares and supply chain issues for a while since the Western countries imposed sanctions on the country post the Ukraine invasion. To meet the demand for new aircraft, the authorities are planning to revive the production of Tupolev Tu-214, Russian news agency TASS has reported. Yuri Slyusa, head of United Aircraft Corporation, said the plan is to increase the output of the Tu-214 to 20 units per year. We are working on it. We are making a cargo and shortened version for flights in the Far East. We will increase production gradually. He was speaking at the National Civil Aviation Infrastructure Exhibition in Moscow. The Tupolev Tu-214 previously is only available on special order. Slyusa added, the commercial serial deliveries of the Tu-214, the MC-21310 and the SSSJ-NEW are scheduled to begin in 2024. Sergei Alexandrovsky, CEO of Aeroflot, said we are expecting the commercial delivery of the first all-domestic superjet version in December this year. The plans to revamp the Tu-214 program have been in motion for a while now. Initially, production will ramp up gradually to 10 yearly to reach the intended 20 units by 2026. Vistara inducts India's first long-range A321LR. Vistara Airlines has inducted India's first long-range Airbus A321LR aircraft. Going ahead, the airline plans to expand its fleet with a total of 70 planes by mid-2024. Vinod Khanna, Chief Executive Officer of Vistara, said, we are excited to welcome our first A321LR to our growing fleet. This addition reiterates our stronger focus on international expansion and enables us to offer long-range connectivity to our customers while also maintaining greater fuel efficiency. Of the total 70 planes, there will be 10 Airbus A321s and 53 A320neo for domestic routes and 7 Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner wide-body planes for serving international markets. Currently, the airline has a fleet of 53 aircraft. Khanna added, we would love to operate more flights to Dubai and Singapore, but those are all constrained by traffic rights. We have had to look at other options. We will be looking at more points in the Middle East. The newly inducted A321LR aircraft has a configuration of 188 seats in 3-class cabin, 12 lie flat seats in business class, 24 seats in premium economy and 152 in economy class. Let's switch now to leasing news, where AirAsia plans to add 15 leased aircraft to meet China capacity. Malaysia's AirAsia plans to take additional 15 aircraft on lease to meet travel demand from China. Tony Fernandez, CEO of Capital A, has commented that the company is so bullish on growth that we're in negotiations now to sign 15 new aircraft from lessors. The fact that we are talking about new planes means things are coming back. These 15 aircraft are in addition to 326 planes already on the company's order book until 2030. Currently, AirAsia has 150 planes and expects to put all 204 of its fleet back in service by August 2023. Norwegian is to take 6 Boeing 737 MAX 8s from Air Lease Corporation. Norwegian and Air Lease Corporation have signed a letter of intent for the carrier to lease 6 Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft. The aircraft are in addition to the 3 737 MAX 8 aircraft which Norwegian previously agreed to lease from ALC, of which one has already been delivered. Norwegian said in a statement, the addition of these modern and fuel-efficient aircraft fits well with our fleet strategy. It will also help counteract delays from Boeing for other aircraft that were due to be delivered to Norwegian this spring. And that's a wrap for this week's edition of the Airline Economics Weekly News Roundup. We hope you found this information valuable and insightful. If you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. At Airline Economics, we're dedicated to bringing you the latest news, trends and analysis from the world of aviation. From the latest innovations to the most pressing issues facing the industry, we've got you covered. So join our community of aviation professionals and subscribe to our channel today. And as always, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for another edition of the Airline Economics Weekly News Roundup. Bye.